The United States is pressing ahead with efforts to turn the Philippines Subic Bay, once the site of its largest naval base in Asia, into what could become the world's largest weapons manufacturing hub, aimed at countering China's growing military footprint in the region. Momentum for the plan surged when on September 2nd, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. inaugurated Hyundai Heavy Industries Philippines' new shipyard at the former Hanjin facility, now rebranded as Agila Subic under the ownership of U.S. investment firm Cerberus Capital Management. Fueled by U.S. and South Korean investment, the shipyard is expected to double the Philippines' shipbuilding capacity to 2.5 million deadweight tons annually and employ over 4,000 workers by 2030. Although Monday's ceremony emphasized commercial shipping, officials stressed that the facility could play a key role in the Philippines' naval modernization program. Hyundai has already delivered frigates and offshore patrol vessels to the Philippine Navy and is positioning Subic as a future regional hub for warship construction. South Korea's ambassador to Manila described the project as a tripartite partnership that blends Korean technology, American financing, and Philippine labor and geography. According to a report by the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, the move constitutes the most significant American defense investment in the Philippines since the Cold War. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how Subic Bay could emerge as key enabler for potential battle against China. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted and fastest VPN brand that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte. NordVPN provides a 256-bit encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy and also enables you to access contents that are blocked based on geolocation. Its threat protection system helps you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. NordVPN application is available for all the major platforms as well as browsers. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive saving by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Subic Bay is a bay on the west coast of the island of Luzon in the Philippines, about 100 kilometers or 62 miles northwest of Manila Bay. From 1901 to 1992, the United States operated a naval base, Subic Bay Naval Station, on the southeast coast of the bay, the largest naval installation in the Philippines. The area suffered heavy damage during World War II. It was taken by the Japanese in 1942 and retaken by Allied forces in 1944. Its proximity to Southeast Asia gave the U.S. naval base a prominent supply and maintenance role in the Vietnam War, 1955 to 75, as well as the Cold War in the second half of the 20th century. Following the U.S. turnover of the base to the Philippines in 1992, the area was redeveloped as a free enterprise zone that included establishing a free port and manufacturing plants, building tourist facilities in the coastal areas, and converting the airbase there to an international airport. Those activities provided a major boon to the regional economy. In 2012, the Philippine government agreed to begin allowing U.S. warships limited access to the Subic Bay port facilities. On November 9, 2024, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson, visited Subic Bay and the shipyard that U.S. private firm Cerberus Capital Management LP acquired that year. The Philippine Navy also begun occupying part of the shipyard as its new naval base. Subic Bay's geographic position is central to its emerging role as a weapons manufacturing hub. Located only a few hundred kilometers from contested areas in the South China Sea, Subic provides immediate access to maritime supply routes. The deep water port and existing airfield infrastructure also allow for rapid deployment and logistical support. For allies such as the United States, Japan, and Australia, Subic represents a forward operating node for supply chain diversification in defense production, reducing dependence on vulnerable supply lines further afield. The Philippine government has identified defense self-reliance as a strategic priority under its revised AFP modernization program. The Department of National Defense has actively encouraged foreign defense contractors to establish local manufacturing partnerships in the Philippines, with Subic Bay highlighted as a priority site. Tax incentives, favorable trade policies, and the presence of the Subic Bay Freeport Zone have further attracted defense-related investment. As part of this push, Manila has sought technology transfer agreements and joint ventures to bolster its indigenous defense industrial base. The latest move marks another step toward transforming Subic Bay into what could become the world's largest weapons manufacturing hub. It also highlights the deepening security ties between Manila and Washington under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who assumed office in 2022. At a recent summit with U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington, Marcos described the new facility as central to the Philippines' self-reliant defense strategy and a direct response to Beijing's expanding presence in the South China Sea, which Manila refers to as the West Philippine Sea. Marcos declared, "The defense of our territory and the exercise of our sovereignty are fundamental issues." Trump, for his part, pledged expanded support, saying the Philippines would soon possess more ammunition than any other country, including advanced missile systems. Interestingly, the U.S. Marine Corps recently secured a 57,000 square foot warehouse at the former Subic Bay Naval Supply Depot, quietly expanding its logistical footprint in the area. In recent years, tension between China and the Philippines has escalated as Manila accuses Beijing of repeated violations of its territorial sovereignty in contested maritime areas. These actions involve incursions into Philippine Exclusive Economic Zones, EEZs, aggressive maneuvers by Chinese vessels, environmental claims over disputed shoals, and diplomatic confrontations, all of which have stirred public outcry and raised concerns about regional stability. For China, these actions represent a continuation of its long-term strategy to oversee contested areas, expand its maritime presence, and gradually impose control over features whose status remains disputed. For the Philippines, these violations are more than symbolic. They impact fishing livelihoods, access to resources, freedom of navigation, and national claims under international law. To counter them, Manila has stepped up patrols, diplomatic protests, coordinated operations with allies, and legislative affirmation of its maritime claims. Domestically, public and political pressure is strong to assert sovereignty more aggressively. The country, which is economically and militarily at a massive disadvantage when pitted against China, has moved closer to the U.S. This initiative follows Manila's 2023 decision to expand U.S. access to Philippine military bases from 5 to 9, while also agreeing to host American ground-based missile systems such as the Typhoon Intermediate-Range Missile and the Nemesis anti-ship system. The development marks a transition from rotational training deployments to what is effectively a permanent U.S. military presence on Philippine soil. This is worrying development for China, and it has only itself to blame.